What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. A lot of little things have kind of been happening today in the NBA world, and I was like, well, there's not really one big enough to like make a whole video on. So I figured what I'd do is I'd just kind of like congregate all the bits of information into one video today, and maybe I'll just start doing daily recaps if like nothing all that exciting happens. If this is something that you guys like, please let me know down in the comments. I respond to every single comment on my YouTube channel, and I intend to keep on doing so. But please know that if you guys leave any like brain rot or just like rude comments, I'm going to tell you to clean it up. And if you don't, then you get hidden and you don't get to participate on the channel anymore. That's just how it works around here. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so we're going to go in chronological order of today. The first thing that happened today was D'Angelo Russell opted back into his contract, which is honestly kind of a surprise. Like $18.5 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I figured what would happen with D'Angelo Russell is that he would opt out and go to a team that was just going to pay him like a shit ton for like the next season or two, like maybe give him a player option for like 24 million or something like that, because D'Lo had a good season all said and done. But it sounds like that there's both some rumors that he might get like traded still, but also he's like, hey, JJ Redick seems like a really good coach, and he's a smart basketball mind, and I think he can really unlock some things in me. So maybe he's kind of betting on himself here and being like, hey, if I just like piggyback off of JJ Redick putting me in the best situations at all times, and hopefully they let D'Lo continue to be the like pick and roll maestro that he is and everything, and he's like, okay, then I can really go get a big ass contract like the year after. It seems like he likes playing in LA too, so good for him all said and done. Brandon Boston Jr. looks like he's maybe not going back to the Clippers. That's not really anything all that interesting. Yeah, the Magic declined Joe Ingles' $11 million contract. That's not a surprise. It sounds like the two sides might still try to work something out. Joe Ingles, from all accounts, is an amazing like veteran to have on teams. Guys absolutely love having him. He can still shoot the ball. He can actually handle the ball pretty well too for the most part. I'm not saying he's going to be like a huge difference maker on any team, but just sometimes having guys like that in practice can be a really cool thing. Shout out Delano Banton getting his option picked up. That's no surprise at all. We started to see a lot of Delano Banton towards the end of this season for Portland after the Celtics trade. I've been up against Delano Banton in the past, and he's phenomenal. Like, I think he's like a really, really good player. All said and done, I'm not saying he's like an all-star or anything, but I'm hoping that Portland continues to give him some opportunities to go be like that guy, because I think he's got a ton of skill for his position. I think he's a good passer. He can handle the rock pretty well. Like, honestly, like he's pretty much like a 6'9" point guard all said and done. So when he was able to get to the hoop for them and start being a creator, it ended up unlocking a little bit of three-point shooting as well in it. So I'm really curious to see what happens with Delano Banton going forward. Russell Westbrook picked up his option, which I think it was kind of 50-50 in my mind, at least, what was going to happen with that one. Like, obviously, Russ was pretty good for them off the bench this season. It's just when he got to the playoffs, he went back to that whole Russell Westbrook thing that he does, where he's like, I gotta be the hero again. It's like he can't help it, and that's the thing with guys that are just dogs like that, right? And I mean that in the nicest way. He's like, I'm the killer, I'm gonna go do it, and he goes back to playing this really inefficient basketball that I just like can't stand watching. But he's still incredibly talented. He brings a ton of energy and spark, so if he can just play his role off the bench and just be that spark and be that leader, play good defense and just keep the team rolling, like, he can be a valuable asset to them. But who knows what the Clippers are gonna look like at this point. So I know he had to opt in at some point, and this is what he's deciding to do. So shout out Russell Westbrook for sticking around in LA a little bit longer. Speaking of people with $4 million contract options, Kevin Love opted out. It sounds like he may try to restructure and get a new deal with the Miami Heat. Apparently he likes being there and everything. I even saw an interview where he said like, oh yeah, let's just hope the Heat do well next year and everything. So it sounds like that's where he wants to go. Like, at least like mentally in the back of his head, he's still on the Miami Heat, right? So we'll end up seeing what happens with Kevin Love. Kevin Love can still be like a productive player for the most part. He's still tough as all hell. Obviously not going to play a ton of great defense. Maybe can step outside and hit a three. I know the percentage hasn't been like lethal necessarily, but can maybe toughen out and get a couple rebounds for you or something like that. And why not? Heat culture, right? You got to have good locker room guys like that. Rockets are picking up Jayshawn Tate's option. Yeah, all those like longer options that they had, like the Jeff Greens and Jacques Landels and stuff like that, they're bringing them back. Like, and it makes sense, right? Because those are good trade pieces for them at the end of the day, and they're not bad players like either. So I don't want to say that, and they're not spending their money on anybody else right now, so you might as well. But those kind of three guys combined with someone else is kind of how you get to that star level salary and stuff like that. So it's no surprise here that Tate's getting this contract. It's just, will Jayshawn Tate actually get to be on the court at all this year? There's just so much other talent going on with this team, and that's why I was kind of disappointed that they couldn't do anything during the draft at all in Houston, because it's just like, how many of these projects are you going to have on a team and you're not like necessarily like progressing at all? Like, I hope they can make some sort of jump this season. I'm a little bit worried about it. What do we got next? Oh, that's right, the Saddiq Bey one. Yeah, so Saddiq Bey, like, he didn't get his option picked up, or not even that, they didn't give him a qualifying. So he's an unrestricted free agent. He's coming off of a torn ACL or whatever, so he missed like a big chunk of this season. Saddiq Bey, when he started off his career in the Pistons, was like looking like really, really good. And then they traded him out of nowhere during that really stupid Gary Payton trade where it was like James Wiseman, Gary Payton, and Saddiq Bey. I don't know why any of those teams wanted to do that trade. Like, I understand the Warriors really liked Gary Payton and everything like that. I'm not saying that James Wiseman should have stuck around on the Warriors, but I was just like, why? And I'm like, why did the Pistons want him? Like, why did they give up on Saddiq Bey? He was a nice, interesting player for them, like or at that point in his career. And so I didn't understand it whatsoever, but you know what? It was what it was at the end of the day. I wonder where Saddiq Bey will go. Like, does he just get like kind of a minimum contract, like a Kelly Oubre type thing where he's like, okay, I just got to get my 1 year minimum and then work my way back up into a bigger NBA contract again? Like, let's hope that he's healthy and everything this year. But I mean, if he's going to take a minimum, he could be a really interesting guy for like insert any contender here, right? Like throw the Denver Nuggets out there, the Lakers or the Suns or something like that. Could be a cool fit. Royce O'Neal got a 4-year, $44 million contract. Good for Royce O'Neal. The back half of this contract, I'm sure, isn't going to be all that great. I actually don't know the details behind it. Does it say? No, I haven't seen whether or not like there's like options or how much of it is guaranteed in the back half or anything. But for the time being, like, he's a nice contributor for the team. All said and done, he spaces the floor, plays some switch defense and everything like that. He's 3-and-D, right? Like, that's what he does. That's what Royce O'Neal is good for in the NBA. He brings a certain level of toughness to the team, and Phoenix needs guys like that, right? With they've got their big three and everything, so everybody else on the team needs to be like defensive minded shooters. So yeah, no, that's a great pickup for them. The Detroit Pistons, so nobody's surprised, declined Evan Fournier's $19 million team option. Opens up $50 million in cap room for the franchise. So yeah, they keep talking about they're eager to use the team space to take on contracts and future draft assets. Like, we're shitting on Detroit a lot recently, and obviously, like, this was something that was probably going to happen regardless. There was no point in bringing him back necessarily, but it just disappoints me that the Pistons, after like these couple years and everything, and I know they've got a new front office now and everything, and they've gone through these last couple years of just like being at the absolute bottom of the NBA, and they've acquired all these nice young players and everything, that now they're telling everybody like, yeah, start salary dumping guys on us and giving us draft picks and everything like that. It's like they're starting their rebuild over again. I just hate when franchises do shit like this. Like, you've got good young players on the team in Cunningham, Ivy, Duren, right? Asar Thompson, and now Ron Holland, and all these guys are just kind of left to kind of flounder out there. And obviously I hope that they figure out a way to win some games, and maybe they bring on some vets on some bad contracts that can help them win some games somehow. But it just doesn't, like, I talk a lot about culture on this, and this is a big side tangent for an Evan Fournier option decline, but I need you guys to understand, like, part of the reason maybe you see like effort issues or something on this team sometimes is because they know they're going into every game expecting to get like fucking clapped. And I know you guys will sit out there and say like, it's their job to come out here and give effort and everything. It's like, guys, if it was your job to go perform in front of people every single night and you're at the butt end of the joke every single night, like, it's gonna wear on these young dudes, man. I'm telling you, from a guy that's been in these locker rooms, that has done this shit, this is the kind of shit that happens, and it's a damn waste. All right, this is where stuff starts to get a little bit interesting. So Paul George declined his option. We knew that was probably going to happen. There was a small chance that some teams were going to try to trade for it or whatever, but Paul George declining this means that, look, he's either going to do a sign and trade, he could just sign with a team with cap space or something like that, or, you know, he just goes back to the Clippers and gets a big-ass deal, right? So the tinfoil hat person in me wants to believe, and we'll get into Klay Thompson. We'll get there, all right? Just be patient with me. We'll get into Klay Thompson. I want to put my tinfoil hat on and everything and just be like, they're all in on it. All those Warriors guys are in on it. Like Klay and the Warriors, they're all putting out these reports just so that they can go get Paul George. And then Klay Thompson will just come back. He's like, I'm back, bitches. I was just distracting all of you so we could go steal Paul George and everything. And I don't know, that's just more so that would be hilarious to me, but it doesn't sound like that's happening at this point, so we're left to believe that Paul George is deciding between a couple teams, and I was just kind of reading that update that he's going to meet with like the Clippers, Philly, and Orlando. I'd personally be shocked if he went to Orlando. Like, in all honesty, I feel like teams or players are just like using Orlando because they have cap space, right? To be like, look, no, I'll leave. You better give me all the money I want. I will leave, right? Like, this team can go sign me, and they're a pretty solid basketball team, because it's like, add Paul George to the Magic. What happens then, right? Like, do they maybe get by the first round then? Like, maybe. Like, that's probably like the best case scenario, right? Because they've still just kind of got a weird and awkward team that they're trying to figure out. They had a great first step this year in their build, but that seems one, like, kind of an acceleration for their team that doesn't make a ton of sense. And also, like, I don't think it gets them anywhere. I think there could be some logic to the Philly thing. Like, I don't know what else they're filling up their roster with. It's not like it's an elite, like, free agency class by any means. So what, we're going to put like PG, Maxey, and Embiid out there and just hope that they can somehow compete with the Knicks and Celtics? Like, I don't know. It seems like an uphill battle that seems way too difficult to overcome, but I feel like he's got a better chance just trying to make it work with this Clippers team. Like, that we've seen it kind of work, but it always just crumbles at the wrong time. So I don't know. I just think he's going back to the Clippers. He has so many like little businesses in LA and stuff too. That's why I thought the Warriors thing could make some sense, because then he could still operate all that stuff. But I don't know. I'm going to bet that he just goes back to the Clippers. Torrey Craig picked up his option. I thought that was kind of interesting. I figured Torrey Craig would just want to go get like a veteran minimum contract from another team that was better than the Chicago Bulls, but apparently he's willing to stick around. And so I just kind of go, okay, yeah, Torrey Craig's fine. I got no problem with that as a Bulls fan. I'm happy to root for Torrey Craig again. I just need the Bulls to make some more moves now, please. Orlando Magic are declining Mo Wagner's $8 million team option. They're probably just doing that so they can get him locked down onto a long-term contract now. So that's exciting. Good for him. Want to keep the Wagner brothers together. They should have played Mo in the playoffs. You feel me? He was a big contributor for them. This one's kind of cool. Luke Kennard declined his option or whatever. The Grizzlies denied it. They weren't able to work out a trade with him or anything. I really thought that would be the case, just because it was a nice contract and a nice player to take on. He's a super, super elite three-point shooter. It sounds like they want to keep him around, and they're just going to restructure the deal and everything. So Luke Kennard will still be able to space the floor for some of these other guys on the team. I think that's really, really cool. Obviously, LeBron opted out of his contract and stuff today, and it sounds like he's willing to just play and wait, right? He's like, look, I'm probably going to be back in the Lakers one way or another, but let's go get whoever we need to get, and I'll just make my contract fit around it. So a lot of respect to him and everything. Obviously, he's got all the money in the world, but he still wants to make his money at the end of the day. So I totally, totally get that. There's a lot of reasons for guys to want to do that, but it sounds like they're like, hey, go get some better players and stuff. Go get like the Valanciunases, the Klay Thompsons, and guys like that, and try to figure out a way to help us win some basketball games this year. Whatever I got to take, I'll make it happen. So yeah, shout out LeBron for that one. I'm curious to see what they end up doing here. Bulls going back to the Suns. Why not? I'm so happy to see Bull. There he is. I'm happy for the kid, man. Glad he's getting another NBA contract. Like, he's not like the best NBA player ever. You know that, but you know what? He's fun whenever he gets out on the court, and he'll do something kind of cool every once in a while. So I just want to see Bull against Wemby once, but I don't know. I think it'd be cool. Alrighty, yeah, and then we just have like Paul George stuff that we already talked about. So let's go read Sham's stuff to see what else is going on. Jackson Hayes exercised his option. That's no surprise either. I think the Lakers can use his talent and everything probably a little bit better. Like, talent has never been Jackson Hayes' problem. It's all like up here and everything. And so if anybody can get it out of him, it's probably JJ Redick in some capacity, just putting him in a real consistent role where he's just using all that athleticism and skill to go help like create some space, whether that's diving to the hoop or things like that. I'm excited to see. I hope they find a way to work him into the rotation, because I want to see somebody try to unlock him. Oklahoma City Thunder declining their team options on Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. They had extremely team-friendly deals, but yeah, it sounds like they want to get long-term contracts in place for both of them. Isaiah Joe is one of the more fun players to watch in the NBA. If he was on anybody but the Thunder, he'd be one of the more exciting young guys in the league. Can absolutely shoot the shit out of it. A sneaky good athlete, and he's just a nice all-around player. Plays really, really smart. Aaron Wiggins in his very limited minutes, which I just hadn't seen a lot of Aaron Wiggins before this season, and he really got to show some stuff in the playoffs. Just kind of does everything right. He's one of those guys that's always in the right place at the right time, and I'm supportive of him now, man. They got a fan in me now, so shout out to those guys. Sounds like they're going to get paid. The Thunder got some cap space, and they're going to give it out to the boys. Cam Reddish exercised his $2.5 million player option to return. That makes sense. You know, somebody's got to try and unlock this guy. You know, I've got some experience in the past against this Duke team that had Zion and RJ Barrett and guys like that, right? To say the least, I thought like Cam Reddish was the most talented guy in the team. Like, obviously Zion's like the most like athletically gifted and everything like that, but I was like, man, Cam can dribble, he can shoot, he can pass. I'm like, he's a good athlete, he can do it all. I'm just really surprised he didn't take off in the NBA, and I don't exactly know why that is, but always a little surprised that he didn't take off into something. And now this is it right here. The Warriors and Klay Thompson are expected to part ways in some capacity. The Warriors are open to sign-in trades. What does this mean, right? Where is Klay Thompson going? Didn't they like list some possible places like for him to go or something like that? They talked about like Philly, maybe, like the Mavericks is one. I always thought it'd be interesting if he ended up on the Mavericks. Like, that just seems like a nice vet type guy for them to have on there. How ironic would it be for Kyrie and Klay Thompson to end up on the same team after all those Cavs Warriors battles, right? That'd be interesting. I don't know how much he like really helps them. Like, obviously that's a huge, like, we'll say like gravity guy and everything, because if he can get hot for some reason, that'd be cool. I do worry though, because we just did the whole Tim Hardaway Jr. conversation, right? Where I'm like, look, part of the reason that Tim Hardaway Jr. wasn't successful in Dallas is because of how they played basketball. Like, when you have microwave guys like Klay Thompson, and you're not consistently getting them in a game rhythm by giving them expected shots and everything, they usually don't work out, right? And maybe we see Klay Thompson is just such a good shooter that he doesn't need to move around the screens as much. He's getting old. Maybe it's just better that he's just kind of sitting and waiting for shots, right? Maybe. That's not how it traditionally works, though. So I'm a little bit skeptical about that, and I would worry about that as a basketball fan. I actually had a whole thing in a comment section with somebody that was watching my videos where they were trying to explain, like, oh, Tim Hardaway Jr. is not that good of a basketball player. And I was trying to explain to them, I'm like, no, dum-dum. Listen, let's go through the stats and everything. What are your concerns? Let me walk you through it and everything. And so we ended up clearing all that, but neither here nor there right now. It's, where does Klay Thompson fit in? I know Magic fans will be like, he's coming to us. Magic fans, telling you right now, not many people want to go to Orlando. I'm just telling you, if you guys are in Orlando, you should know that. I fucking hate going to Orlando. I hate that city. Like, it's too much. It's pretty gross there, in all honesty, like, in my experience. And I've done a lot of recruiting and scouting through Florida, especially towards the end of, like, my coaching career. I say the end of my coaching career, like, I don't know. I don't need to get into that in this video and everything, but what I'm trying to say is it could still happen, and I still get job opportunities and stuff. I'm just not taking them for personal reasons. But yeah, with Klay Thompson getting into Orlando, I just feel like the Magic are just being used, and all you fans that were like, we're getting Malik Monk, now we're getting this guy, now we're getting this guy. It's like, I just don't see it. I maybe if you went to Orlando, that'd be something, like, to say the least. But even Orlando's like, look, man, we don't really want to give you more than like a 2-year deal or something like that. We'll give you a fuck ton maybe for like 2 years, but it sounds like he wants more than that. Maybe they cave or something like that, and that's enough for him to go. But I kind of think it'd be funny for Orlando Magic fans to not get any of those guys or whatever. But hey, I want to see y'all succeed. I have to see it first. I have to see it. And then shout out Rashawn Holmes, who Shams was originally tweeting out as Richard Holmes. And I was like, who the hell is Richard Holmes? And I was like, oh, Rashawn Holmes. Yeah, so he actually declined his $12.8 million player option, which I did not see coming. But now he's getting a 2-year, $25.9 million one. So he's going to get paid pretty well this next season, and then they'll probably just cut him if he's not that good next season. Like, Rashawn Holmes is pretty good, like, in terms of like his size and like screen setting and everything. Doesn't provide a lot of rim defense or anything or much else, in all honesty, but the Wizards need big men on their team, and this is who's available, right? So they're like, fuck it, we got to pay somebody. Rashawn, you want to get another contract with us? There you go. And then they could always use him as like a trade option after that, which is kind of smart on their part, right? Like, if they have somebody that they want to really bring in and they can help a team relieve themselves, like, cap-wise and everything. So honestly, a pretty smart move by the Wizards, all said and done. So yeah, I believe that's all we kind of got going on for this point. I'll do a quick refresh to see if I'm really missing anything, but we'll even go back to Woj one more time and just be like, nope, I think that's it. All right, I think I did this at an okay time of the night. If something big happens afterwards, whatever. If nothing really big happens in a day, I'll kind of just do videos like this of kind of just recapping all the little news and everything. But let me know what what you guys think of it down in the comments below. And again, let me know what you guys are doing while you're watching my videos. That's my question. I've been really enjoyed seeing that, actually. People being like, I'm in the shower, I'm doing chores, like I'm walking my dog, things like that, right? And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I imagine people doing when they watch my videos, because I do that too with certain YouTube guys that like I listen to. It's just like, okay, like this is my background person. It's not really about what's on the screen, it's about the talking and everything. So I just think that's kind of cool. But yeah, let me know what you guys are doing while you're listening to this or whatever. But yeah, thanks so much as always, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.